So the first New Year's Eve celebration that I really remember, I was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years old. I know that I was much too young to still be awake at midnight, but I was awake at midnight, and everyone was celebrating, and it got closer and closer, and we were at my mom's friend's farmhouse in Western Massachusetts, and we were there with her friend Joan and her husband Max and her son Paul, who I think was in his maybe late teens, early 20s at the time. And I remember watching everyone get closer to the ball dropping and being so excited, and everyone had these funny thin glasses of orange juice. And there was I just got such a kick out of these thin, funny glasses of orange juice. And I said, I want some, I love orange juice, I want some orange juice. And Joan's son Paul looked at my mom and said, is it okay? Can he have some? My mom said, he can have orange juice. Of course the kid can have orange juice. So he brought me into the kitchen on the other side of the house, and he poured me a funny thin glass of orange juice, and I took a sip, and I said in a small childlike voice, this orange juice tastes bad. And from the other side of the house, I heard my mom screaming, Paul, what did you just give my son? And it was a mimosa. He had given me a mimosa when I was 4 or 5 years old. And all I wanted was some orange juice. And that was the first in a long string of disappointing New Year's Eves. A string that would extend far into some indeterminate point in the future from now. I think New Year's Eve is always a disappointing holiday. I think we put too much pressure on it, and we shouldn't, because it's arbitrary. We've chosen January 1st to be the beginning of our year, but we're celebrating the fact that the Earth is now in a similar position related to the sun as it was at some point in the past, and that could be any day. There's a year we could celebrate. January, the year could go from May to April, and that would make it just as much sense. In fact, it would make more sense for everyone whose New Year's resolution is to start running, because it wouldn't be so goddamn cold out. I was in Chinatown a few weeks ago with some friends of mine, and we're all saying Happy New Year, Happy New Year, and at one point it kind of dawned on me, I'm sure there's a few people who are saying, what the hell are you talking about? New Year's isn't for another month and a half. So it is completely arbitrary. Most of the way that we consider time is completely arbitrary when you think about how we just even work our clock. Midnight, the 1 o'clock happens in the middle of the night when we're asleep. By the time you wake up at 6 o'clock, you've already missed 6 hours of your day. That's crazy. I think we should start the day when you wake up, 6 o'clock, and we should go through the day as we go through our lives. You wake up, let's base this on an 80-year lifespan. So 6 hours is 20 years and so forth. So you wake up, you spend the first 20 years, the first 6 hours, just screwing around watching some cartoons. As you get a little further into it, maybe you start to get to know what's going on in the world, you watch the news. And then at around 20 years old, around 6 hours into your day, you go out in the world and you get a job. You go to work. You work for about, 30 years, let's say, and that's 8 hours. That works out perfectly. You go home, you relax. You do some Sudoku, you read a book, you rest. That's a perfect day. But we don't do it that way. We put so much stress on get up in the morning, get to work, and it's arbitrary. I think the biggest pressure that we put ourselves under on New Year's is the resolution. And the resolution is, I'm sorry for all of you who just wrote down your resolutions, a terrible idea.
Thank you.
Did you know that 78% of New Year's resolutions are completely abandoned by the end of January? 78%. And there's a big problem with that, considering my New Year's resolution was to stop making up fake statistics. So there's only a 22% chance that that's even true. We put so much pressure on resolutions, and the idea of bettering yourself and having a goal is, of course, a good thing to do. Like I mentioned earlier, the idea that you're going to tell yourself that you're going to start running more in the middle of the winter is absurd. To think that, yes, by the time we get back to this position relative to the sun, I would like to have improved this part of myself is a good thing to do. But you don't have to wait until January 1st to do that. You should be doing that every day. You should be out every day thinking about how you can get to a better place by next year. And you should do it smartly. You should do it in a way that you can actually follow through with. You should set your running goal in May. And you should set your knitting goal in November. And so I hope that you have some really good New Year's resolutions for 2015. And I hope that you also have them for 2016. And I hope you have them in January, February, March, April, May. And you never stop. Thank you.